Hey, what's up you guys, it's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to go into another flashback from One of Us is Back by Karen and McManus. This flashback is by none other than Simon, so let's get right into this video. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, I suggest you click off the video now. You have been warned. Simon, 6 years earlier. They listened for what seemed like hours, listened to Mr. Wardian give up on reviving Alexander Alton, pace the kitchen, and agitatedly stalk between rooms. It was a minor miracle, Simon thought, that he hadn't spotted them. Mr. Wardian had passed by the spot where he and Jake crouched behind the couch at least half a dozen times. Simon was pretty sure he knew what Mr. Wardian was thinking. Get rid of the body, get rid of Alexander Alton's car, and hope and pray that nobody ever noticed it was here. It was dark enough, Simon thought, that Mr. Wardian might get lucky in that regard. The Wardians, after all, were the luckiest people he knew. You can't tell anyone, Jake said, in a panicked whisper when Mr. Wardian's footsteps faded down the hallway. He didn't mean it. You sure about that? Simon whispered back. Simon, please, promise me, please. I promise, Simon whispered, just to shut him up. Jake pressed his head into his hands and curled into a ball behind the couch. Mr. Wardian was still out of hearing distance, but he wouldn't be for long. Whatever he was planning next, one thing was for certain: he wouldn't want a witness. So when Jake started rocking back and forth, seemingly lost in his own world, Simon took advantage of the opportunity to get to his feet and slip outside as quickly and noiselessly as he could, all the way toward the patch of grass where he'd left his bike. Simon expected to feel a hand on his arm, Jake or Mr. Wardian pulling him back, begging him to stay quiet, or maybe they'd insist on it, get angry and threaten that he'd wind up like Alexander Alton. Simon was caught up in the drama of what felt like an inevitable confrontation, that when he reached his bicycle and glanced over his shoulder, he was disappointed to see nothing but the empty stretch of grass he just crossed. He was a murder witness, and the Wardians were still treating him like he didn't exist. Simon picked up his bicycle up from the grass and slung one leg over the seat. Then he paused, unable to tear his eyes away from the Wardians' plateaural home. He didn't want to leave yet. He wanted to know what happened next. Simon made his way to the Wardians' kitchen window and hoisted himself up onto the flower-covered trellis below it until he could see inside. Instantly, he spotted Alexander Alton's body, all stiffness and all natural angles. And beside it, there was Jake, staring at the floor with wide, blank eyes. Any minute, Simon thought, any minute, Mr. Wardian would come back and see that boy he'd always believed was his son standing over the body of his real father. Simon couldn't even begin to guess what would happen then. This was the strangest, most surreal experience of his entire life, and he wasn't 100% certain that he wasn't dreaming. And then the body twitched. Simon nearly fell off the trellis, certain his imagination had gotten the better of him, until he saw Jake recoil in shock. Neither of them was seeing things. Alexander's hand moved, and then his head, faint but definite. He was still alive, which meant what? Would Mr. Wardian call an ambulance? How was he going to explain what happened? And what would happen to Alexander Alton? And what would Alexander Alton do once he got out of the house? He could take Jake away, Simon thought. It's probably what he and Miss Wardian were planning to do anyway. Before Simon could wonder for too long, though, Jake grabbed a towel that was draped over the oven door and folded it in two. He knelt beside Alexander Alton, and then as Simon watched through the windows, pressed the towel over Alexander's face. Even as Alexander struggled weakly, Jake held it there. After a few minutes that passed with agonizing slowness, there was no movement at all. Simon dropped from the trellis, breathing hard. He could tell someone, he thought. He could rip the entire Wardian family apart and let Chelsea Alton and her brothers know exactly what had happened to their father. That was the right thing to do, probably, but it wouldn't bring Alexander Alton back. He promised Jake that he would stay quiet. That was when they thought Alexander Alton's death was an accident, though. Simon didn't owe Jake anything now, but Jake owed him. Even before he watched Jake finish what Mr. Wardian had started, Jake owed Simon a staggering debt, the kind where Simon could tell Jake to do anything and he'd have to do it. He would wait, Simon decided, settling himself onto his bike. Wait and see whether Mr. Wardian got away with what he'd done. He and Jake might feel safe then, like they were still the picture-perfect family they'd always pretended to be, but they weren't, not when Simon could reveal the truth at any time. Secrets are power, Simon thought as he pedaled away. That is the end of this flashback. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.